Now about this. Operation Epic Fury. Here we go. President Trump is warning Iran to get smart soon as U.S. forces maintain the blockade of the Strait. And
the commander-in-chief is now weighing next steps and will reportedly be briefed on new military options today.
All right, let's go to Bryan Llenas. He's live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Good morning, Bryan.
Good morning. Well, for now, President Trump has opted to extend the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports, calling the blockade, quote, genius and foolproof in crippling Iran's economy. But the president is also warning Iran that he is weighing another wave of military strikes, warning them to, quote, get smart soon and agree to a deal that ends its nuclear weapons program.
Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. When you have to fly 18 hours every time you want to have a meeting, and you know what the meeting's all about, and you know they're going to give you a piece of paper that you don't like before you even leave. It's ridiculous. They've come a long way. The question is whether or not they're going to go far enough. So at this moment, there will never be a deal unless they agree that there will be no nuclear weapons.
Axios reports the president is set to be briefed this morning on military options. Quote, CENTCOM has prepared a plan for a short and powerful wave of strikes in Iran, likely including infrastructure targets, in hopes of breaking the negotiating deadlock, three sources with knowledge said. Now, the hope would be that Iran would then return to the negotiating table, showing more flexibility on the nuclear issue. Now, several military options reportedly also include taking over part of the Strait of Hormuz to reopen it to shipping, potentially with ground troops, or using special forces to secure Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Now, CENTCOM is also looking at deploying hypersonic missiles for the first time. Bloomberg reports that CENTCOM has asked to deploy the Dark Eagle hypersonic missile to the Middle East in response to Iran moving its ballistic missile launchers further out of range. Meanwhile, in Iran, large crowds gathered in Tehran Wednesday against the U.S. and Israel. Iranian officials insist that Iran can withstand the U.S. blockade and is warning of, quote, unprecedented military action if the blockade continues. Iran's parliamentary speaker, Mohammad Bagher Kalibaf, is even mocking U.S. claims that its oil infrastructure is on the verge of exploding as it runs out of oil storage, writing on X, quote, 3 days in, no well exploded. We could extend to 30 days and live stream the well here. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, will testify in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee, day two of what's expected to be more heated exchanges about the war in Iran with Democrats. Guys.
yeah, well, thanks so much, Brian. So the markets don't love the fact that the president's released the fact that we have a plan. Maybe hit him for another 10 days and using our hypersonic missile cache. But I think Scott Bessent has the most interesting attack plan that could bring them down financially. They were already on huge inflation problems, the diminishment of their currency, the real. They were already having huge problems, the heavily sanctioned, but now Scott Bessent has now seized $350 million in crypto, $100 million just last week. Overall, they've taken and frozen between 450 and 500 million in crypto. That's what these criminal groups and these criminal governments try to do.
Yeah, they use the crypto because, it's harder to trace. They buy weapons with that crypto. They use it for trafficking organizations as well. Here's Scott Bessent talking about the plan.
It was that pressure that brought the Iranian economy to a standstill in December that led to the protest. The largest bank in Iran collapsed. The central bank had to monetize the debt, and that created massive inflation. Their currency is down about 60 or 70% versus the U.S. dollar, so they're in the middle of a currency crisis. And what we're doing now is, we've been in a long race, and we are sprinting for the finish line. President Trump told me 3 weeks ago to up the pressure again, and we have gone to the buyers of Iranian oil and told them that we are willing to do secondary sanctions on your industries, on your banks who tolerate Iranian oil in their system.
For instance, putting pressure on China, they're facing severe secondary sanctions for handling Iranian oil payments. He mentioned the currency collapse. There's also a labor crisis. 1 million jobs have been lost. There's hyperinflation. Food prices are skyrocketing. The cost of chicken is up 75%, for example. 2 major steel producers have halted production. That's destroyed 20 to 30% of Iran's steel output. And strikes have damaged 20,000 different factories. That's 20% of Iran's total production units.
You just get the impression, Brian, and the president has more information than we do. He has all the intelligence. He's looking at the full plan, that he's waiting for something. I don't know what it is, what it could be possibly, but the Iranians have shown that they really don't want to negotiate. The IRGC seems to be running the show. The political leadership can say whatever they want to say. The IRGC, they want to fight. And the president has the blockade. The military assets continue to move toward the region. It's just a matter of time before we go back to those operations. What the president knows, what he's waiting for, I don't know. But I do trust him to make the right decision.
I think that he is talking to them. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And there's not going to be a visit, so don't wait for a big visit. He's like, I'm not sending my people 18 hours so you give me a piece of paper that I can't use.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.